Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. I'm Jim Ewing with Provision Solutions. We've enjoyed sharing insights, inspiration, and informative updates through our Marketplace Ministries events. Whether in person or virtual, there's been a wealth of great resources provided. Details are provided in the comments below, along with information on staying informed of upcoming events and interacting with others online. We trust you'll enjoy the segment and invite you to be a part of our Marketplace Ministries Network. We'd love to have you as part of our collaborative Christian community. Thanks. And now, here's our presentation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us once again, Marketplace Ministries Network. I'm Jim Ewing. I'll be your facilitator here in this special conversation that we're having right now. It is a delight for me to introduce you to someone that I've just gotten to know recently, but I have heard over the airwaves here, Christian radio in the Edmonton area, Johnny Rocket. So good to have you here. Well, Johnny, I've heard you a few times on the radio, and it's always good to hear your voice over the airwaves. And I know that you've been involved in a number of different projects over the years. You were telling me, and I knew a little bit about the Why Me project. Can you maybe just give us a little bit of a glimpse as to what happened there? What was that all about?
Yeah, first off, if anybody's watching the video, we color coordinated our shirts today, so I appreciate the fact that you're wearing a nice baby blue. I am Johnny Rocket. I have been a part of Shine FM radio for 22 years ish, and I've done some TV, did a lot of radio, still doing radio, thank the Lord. And then on top of that, I also started a podcast with my former co-host, Holly, and we did a podcast called The Why Me Project, which was in the hills and valleys of life. You ask God that question, God, why me? Why am I having to go through this? Why are you and it's really was an opportunity for us to talk with anybody and everybody about their life and those hills and valley moments. And after 7.5 years, we officially had called it quits as of this year. And it was sad, but also we got 7.5 years of a podcast. So it's also a blessing in that way as well.
And I've had opportunity to tune into some of those podcasts and really enjoyed the content that was provided there. You know, that concept of why me, that's a question that a lot of us will ask. I'm sure many times over the course of our lifetime. Why me? Why does this happen? Why does that happen? Why am I not here when I'm stuck here? It's hills and valleys. I mean, that's a good picture because we see that as we walk on that journey that God has us on. I sometimes think about that image about, the potter and the pot. And the Bible talks, I think it's in Romans chapter 9, something about, talking back to God and the pot saying, why have you made me this way? And, why me? I think that's kind of the essence of what that picture is telling us here. But you have had opportunity to talk with a lot of people over the years, Johnny, and I know that there are some great stories in there. I think for the audience that we're working with here, those that maybe have a vision to do something that they've felt impressed that God is leading them into, maybe it's a business, maybe it's a ministry area or some sort of a special project. I'm sure they have asked themselves, why me? Why am I in this way? Why are things not coming together the way I envision? Have you maybe chatted with a few people that come to mind where they've, had that vision to do something and maybe taken some steps to actually realize it?
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to, we went through 340 episodes of artists and authors and athletes and business people of all different walks of life. I mean, even my own personal life, I think asking God that question, why me, was kind of the start of my own radio career. But we kind of dove into the lives of people, there are specific people who have come to mind. Heather Polosio may be one of those individuals. She has an incredible organization, or Theresa Flores. I mean, those are just two of the many people throughout the 7.5 years that we've had a chance to talk to, where you hear about this vision, this dream, this opportunity, this idea, and then what? And what's that next step? And I think sometimes we get so caught up in and what's the next step? I'm hearing what God is telling me to do, but how does this work? If you're leading me, do I just stop now and wait for everything to happen, or do I have to actually put in some legwork?
What's the answer to that one? What have you found?
Both. I think I've always said that, if God gives us the abilities to do it, we need to do it. But there's also those times, those waiting moments where I think if we're going too fast, we're going to be told, "Hey, hold on, slow down just a little bit. It's not yet. It's not your time yet." But then there's other times where I think we sit back and we wait, and you're getting that push. You're like, "Well, I'm waiting. I'm waiting." Well, no, no, hold on. I'm pushing you. It's time for you to take that next step.
Hmm. Having worked with a lot of entrepreneurs in my career
Mm,
path, I've seen this situation where there's analysis paralysis, where people have been
mm.
doing investigation, research, doing some planning, and it seems to be kind of a vicious cycle where you get a little piece of information and you feel you need just a little bit more before you act on something. Now, as a
Yeah.
follower of Christ, though, I know that we place our hope and our trust, our faith in Jesus Christ to help lead us and direct us. But the question is still there. At what point do I take that step of faith and go
Yeah.
into what I believe I've been called into?
I think you just got to do it because I mean, even if, okay, let's talk about this because I love these things. Even like marketing and stuff through radio and just us marketing as individuals. I think you got to take those steps because you learn by doing. If you just stand we could watch a baseball game and we could be like, oh, that's so much fun. But until you get out and play the baseball game, you have no idea how difficult it really is. And you look at a batter who bats like 250 or 300. That means that you're failing 7 times out of 10, and you're still doing pretty good. So I think that if you get that prompting, you need to step out in faith and do it. And then if what do they always say? If the door shuts, a window opens, and if the window isn't open, then crawl through the fire escape. But there are these opportunities where we need to take that step because if we're not, we're just going to be stagnant and just standing there and be like, okay, now, and be like, I told you to do this 30 minutes ago, and you're still standing there.
Hmm. Yeah, you've mentioned a couple of names already. Obviously, these kind of stand out. Why don't you jump into one of them and maybe just tell us a little bit about what stands out? Why these individuals? Why have they come to the forefront of your recollection as we go into the conversation?
Yeah, I think my heart a lot of times when it comes to organizations is the not for profit because I feel as though there's a ton of people with really great ideas, and sometimes they just don't know how to execute that idea. And so, like Heather Polosio, she's based out of Florida. She had an idea of it's called Wondherful. It's a box that she would send out to people who are dealing with mental illness and with suicide. I could never imagine having to deal with that, but she struggled with that herself. And then when things like the COVID happened and people were isolated and alone, she had noticed that there were so many people who were dealing with suicidal thoughts and tendencies. And she, being one of them, said, there is something for me to do. I need to get this box out to these people, but I don't know how to do. I don't know what this looks like. So I think she was the first person I thought of when you and I were chatting about, was there anybody that came to mind? Because it's great to have an idea, but then to execute it and then to see her not only helping people in the US, Canada, North America, but all across the world, really, I think, put a huge stamp on my heart as to somebody that I just would never forget.
Hmm. Yeah, well, mental illness and challenges in this space, this is an area that, again, even as we listen to various media right now, this is in the forefront. There are many challenges, and COVID, of course, was a huge challenge for many of us, changing the way that we go about everything. Everything seems to have changed from that point. And some of those changes actually have been for the better, to be honest
Mm,
with you. Uh, I've got a couple of examples that come to my mind of, just improvements that we see in the way that things are done now that are more efficient,
mm.
that are giving people options that allow them a little more flexibility with how they approach things. But Do you recall any of the things that maybe she talked about that kind of opened that door for her to take that step, to trust the intuition, to trust the leading that she was being given?
Yeah, starting local and then expanding from there. I think was one of those things, and the other thing was that she was buying everything out of pocket. When it came to whether it was lifesaver candies to books to pens or whatever it was, she was doing this all on her own. And I think there are a lot of times that we want to do these things, but then there's these restrictions. And she just said, by faith, let's do it. And her husband was like, if this is what you want to do, then let's get this done. So I think that was kind of one of those things that you start so small and you help out one, and then it kind of just spirals and it goes from there. And that was kind of one of her things, like starting and buying it all herself. And she still is so. I mean, granted, I think has a bigger team now. It's been probably a year and a half since we've had a chance to chat. But even over a year and a half later, there's still that impact of me remembering just who she was and the things that she is doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so starting small, starting locally, taking baby steps initially, and then allowing the Lord and the need to be realized step by step along the way. You mentioned the team too, so she expanded beyond just being a solo operator in that thing. Had the support of a spouse, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And then maybe had some people come around her that caught on to the idea, and they're helping to lift the load for her.
Yeah, behind every great boss is a really great team.
Yeah,
So yeah, you got to give love to the people who are willing to help you out and to believe in whatever your cause is. And it's, I think that holds true to not only what she's doing, but with every company, you want to make sure that you have the best people who are there.
yeah. Well, that team spirit and maintaining that team spirit, there are, I think we've all experienced environments that were less than conducive
Mm,
building that team spirit and keeping the troops motivated to move forward with the
sure.
cause. And yeah, I think if you can get that as a leader in an organization and motivating the people, if they see the vision, if they hear the vision, if they have the vision that they've embraced and they're willing to march forward with it, you've got a terrific combination there with motivating people to do what needs to be done.
Well, I also think too, and this I think holds true, you should always have people that you look up to. There should always be people that you're willing to grow from. I mean, I think of my own self. I mean, I'm a program director now of our radio stations here in Edmonton, and I've been doing it for 12 years, but I had a lot of people to come before me and show me what to do and what not to do. And even people who are in my role now or other roles where I'm able to, you got to be able to pick their brain. You got to be able to be willing to take the criticism. You got to be willing to grow from it. And I think that just it makes you better as a person, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, to be able to see where are your strengths, but also where are your weaknesses.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's no shortage of needs and issues and challenges that face us in the world today. You've mentioned this one of Heather and just a wonderful way that she has picked up a specific cause that she identified with and helped
Yeah.
to provide a bit of a solution to intervene and to help people through the struggles that they're facing. You also mentioned this other one, and we talked a little bit about that in a previous conversation, Johnny. You
Yeah.
mentioned Theresa
Mhm.
Flores, and that was an interesting project too that deals with another serious issue in society.
Yeah, human trafficking, which is over the 7.5 years that Holly and I had a chance to talk with people. We were talking with more people who were involved in the human trafficking as someone who was being trafficked. And Teresa was in that situation, but then also took it a step further and started an organization called the Soap Project, where they're able to essentially take bars of soap, put them in hotels and motels, and when a person who is being trafficked, after everything is all said and done, they're given an opportunity to go into a bathroom and to clean up. And that's where they have these phone numbers, these helplines, these opportunities for these people to reach out and say, hey, listen, I need a change. Or they're able to just come alongside them and see what they can do in order to help.
Yeah, well, um, I've heard other stories of rescues and um,
Hmm.
individuals who've gone into other countries even and tried to be a part of a solution to
Yeah.
help people in these mm, less than desirable occupations that they found themselves in, often because of circumstances that have gone sideways or backwards in their own life, and then they end up down this rabbit hole that they can't get out of.
Yeah.
Uh, so people like Theresa here offering a way out, a potential way out for those that are caught in this unfortunate situation.
Yeah, and what I love is that we talk about listening to what God is saying, and she came up with the name Driving Home, and she was like, I don't, I love this idea, I just don't know what to call it, and I like soap project, and this is where it all stemmed from, and she just continues to listen to what God is saying, and she has birthed this organization as well. So that's kind of the thing over the last while. I mean, I'm sad now. 7.5 years of talking to all these amazing people. And so now I just get to reminisce about the stories that they've had to share.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the conversation we had a while ago, and I don't know if I bought the coffee or you bought the coffee, but it was a pretty good cup of coffee. And we had a good conversation as well.
We
Um,
did.
in talking with you, Johnny, and thinking on the Why Me project,
Mm,
it just kind of twigged to me as we're working with entrepreneurs and those who have a vision to move something forward, some sort of a venture. I'm
yeah.
thinking, there's a lot of people that have interesting ideas and they need to kind of just work with them a little bit, but taking that first step is probably a part of the process. And that element of self-doubt that people will sometimes have and shooting an idea down before you've even given a chance to kind of test it. I was thinking, why not me? Why
Mhm.
not me? Instead of saying, why me, why me, why me, and being all down and out about a situation you find yourself in, view it from another perspective and say, think about it. Why not me? What would prevent me from trying this or giving it a try as I feel the Lord is leading me in this direction?
Yeah. No, it's good. And I mean, that's the thing though, is that you need, and we talked about it earlier, you need to take that first step. You also need to find the people around you who are willing to support you, whether whatever your idea is a good one or it's a terrible one. I mean, which inventor was it who had like thousands of ideas and finally, got the right one? Is it Newton or Edison? Is one of them. I mean, we got to fail at some point, or maybe our idea is $1 million idea, and you're one for one on your ideas, and you just kind of go from there. But you need to find the people who are also willing to be honest with you and say that is actually, hey, Johnny, it's a great idea, or that is a dumb idea, and you should never ever mention it ever again.
Yeah, just bury that one and don't dig it up.
Right? That's what my wife is very good for gauging them. Hey babe, I was thinking about this, and she goes, terrible. Don't ever think about that again.
Yeah, put it in the past. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think it was Edison actually, and one
Was
day
it? Okay.
working on it, testing different filaments, and then one day the light bulb went on.
And find 1,000 ways to not do it.
Exactly. That was his response. As I understand it, I wasn't there myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Well, the gray hair, come on. Okay,
We
give
were
me.
hanging out, and I was just like, Edison, what do you think? And he's like, well,
Well, now we know.
yeah.
Okay. So again, we're going to be talking with people who have an idea and a vision and want to move it forward. And I'm
Yeah.
hopeful that we'll be able to inspire some people to, yes, do the research, check it out, go through a process, talk with the people that are in your circle of confidence, build a team around you, those that have gone down a path. I like mentorship and mentoring as
Love
a
that.
model to
Mm,
uh, to learn from someone else who has experienced things that you or I maybe haven't and learn from other people's mistakes. Let's put that one out there, but also learn from their successes. What has
yeah.
worked, what hasn't worked, and how might I then approach my situation with what I'm facing based upon the experience of someone else?
Yeah, no, those are all really good. Hopefully people are taking notes. You should be writing a book or something. That's fantastic.
Well, I'm waiting for the full length movie, to be honest with you.
Nice. That's good.
Okay. All right. So, Johnny, is there anyone else that comes top of mind here? Those are a couple that we had talked about in advance, but anyone else that comes to mind that kind of really inspired you for coming up with something that offers value to an audience and has been proven to be helpful?
Yeah, keeping up with the analogy of baseball, I do want to throw you a little bit of a curveball because it wasn't necessarily somebody that we had a chance to sit down and talk with, but it's actually my co-host herself, Holly. She is an entrepreneur and she does a number of things with Christian radio, with Christian artists, and she's always thinking of ways to grow Christian music and the Christian industry. And so she's always been one of those people who I look up to as somebody, as a mentor, but also as somebody who has gone through trying different things and things failing and trying other things. So not necessarily a part of our podcast, but she is our podcast, or was our podcast, because she was my partner in crime for the 7.5 years. And so to be able to see some of the utilizing her strengths and her knowledge, but then also willing to lean on other people to see, to make what her business, essentially grow and flourish.
Yeah, well, you were able to work with Holly for many years, and I can tell from the podcasts that you've done and the interactions that you've had that you worked very well together in moving those projects forward. So kudos to both of you for that. Again, the future is ahead of us, and we're always exploring ideas. Johnny Rocket, it's been great to chat with you, but any insights on where your future holds, what it holds for you?
No idea. I mean, I'm more than willing to do anything and everything. I mean, I still radio. I mean, I get to do the morning show, 6 to 9, Monday through Friday. I get the opportunity to do live on locations, host events and stuff. So if there are people who need me, I mean, I guess there's that. Or I just do these things with you, and I'll just do a bunch of video stuff and podcasting things that if anybody needs me, I'll just hang out with them.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, one thing that I've seen in my career path, which has gotten me to this point in history,
Yeah.
yeah, this great pinnacle of success that I have achieved here. No, one thing I can say, and I've said this with other entrepreneurs and younger people, is that we can trust the Lord to open the right doors at the right time. We
Yeah.
just need to remain faithful and trusting in Him. And I guess when we get that sense that He is urging us into a certain area, a direction for us, that we take the initiative and pursue that, trusting in Him to continue to lead us through that door, into the thing that He might have for us. And I'm going to assume that it's probably the right thing if it's coming from the Lord.
That's good. That's really good.
Philippians 1 verse 6, I've got it here. Being confident of this very thing, that He which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. So if He's starting something inside of you, again, follow His leading. The Holy Spirit will guide and direct you, and you can count on Him to take it through to completion for His glory.
It's a great way to end it. You're great.
I learned from some of the best. Johnny Rocket, thank you so much for your time, for your insights. God bless you.
That's good. Thank you.
Thanks for being with us. We trust you found this to be helpful. And if so, please give us a like, a follow, and a share. The Bible says in Matthew, "Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven." If you're launching or growing a business, a ministry area, or a special project, or if you're involved in helping them as a resource or service provider, we'd love to have you participate with us. Stay informed of upcoming events and items of interest by subscribing to the Marketplace Ministries Update, sent out periodically. May God bless you as you do your best to faithfully represent Jesus Christ in the marketplaces of life.